Dimineața începe.
I've taken a look at your proposal. It's much better than the ones you showed me before, but I'd still like to make some changes.
Oh, come on, not again. Isn't this the 6th proposal I've shown you? What's your issue this time?
It's a bit hard to put into words, but the design still doesn't look quite right to me.
I have to say, that's a terribly vague and unconvincing explanation. Please enlighten me. What would feel more right to you?
For starters, don't you think this roof is jutting out a bit too far from the top? It looks almost like the head of a fungus. This door, too. I don't think it needs to be nearly this large. If you could reduce it to around my height, you could use the leftover materials to construct a few more rooms.
The roof and the door are the most fundamental parts of a building. If we were to change them, then what would be left of the design? Even if the soul of the building won't be lost, all traces of architectural style would be gone. Anyone with the slightest inkling of architectural knowledge would know to leave them alone.
Oh, I understand the principles of what you are saying, of course, but the truth remains that I'm still a bit unhappy with the design as is. Is there anything else that you can do? Oh, actually, I just got an idea. Can we get rid of all the extraneous sections on the roof, so the whole design will just be one vertical structure, similar to that of a tree trunk?
What?
Don't architects often say that symmetry makes everything more balanced and pleasing to the eye? This way, the proportions will be completely balanced.
I really don't know how you managed to come up with such a ridiculous idea. Wait, don't tell me. Someone hired you specifically to commission me and put me through the ringer? Come to think of it, though, I really don't think I've gotten on anyone's bad side recently. Anyway, that's it. I will not be working on this commission anymore. Goodbye. Maybe you can find yourself some other genius who'll be able to satisfy your demands.
Hey, young man, please wait! Go.
Taking this commission was truly the worst decision ever. Oh, hey. I wasn't expecting to run into you here. Actually, while we're on that, what are you doing here at the tavern? Don't listen to anyone. So you saw that, did you? Ugh, I thought I was in the clear. I made sure to double-check that nobody I knew was around. Anyway, thanks for looking out for me. Honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm used to it by now. Stress is just an inescapable part of being a working adult. Boss, I'll have a glass of wine, same as last time. Do you want something too? I'll put it on my tab.
Wine in a glass of juice, coming right up.
I know you're already keeping a secret from me, but if you could add this one to the list as well, I'd really appreciate it. Arguing with a client is not a good look for me. If word gets out, other potential clients might be afraid to work with me. That guy, though, what was he even going on about? All those ridiculous demands of his? He's just a blabbering fool trying to act like a know-it-all. Another glass, please, boss. I'm not leaving today till someone has to carry me out.
You've got it, sir. I gotta say, though, it almost feels like you're saying that every other day now.
It really is every other day that you'd run into a client who knows nothing about construction requirements or architectural style. If this was in the past, I'd never have gone through 6 whole drafts trying to accommodate the client's preferences. But perhaps getting used to this just means that I've grown numb to it. I've worked on so many projects since graduation, and none of them have been approved at the first pass. I would spend a lot of time altering my designs, and by the time the clients were finally satisfied, all my passion and enthusiasm would be gone. It feels like I'm straying further and further from my artistic vision with every change I have to make. I suppose, though, that just sticking to your guns and completely disregarding other people's feedback would also not be a good thing. All of this makes for a real paradox, one that particularly crops up in my work, too. In the end, what is the true meaning of art? Should I see it as a divine gift of inspiration from the gods, or an expression of the light of my own wisdom?
Here's your drink. How are you already spouting nonsense after just one glass? Your tolerance is usually much better than that.
Boss, what do you think is the meaning of art?
The meaning of art? Really, my friend, who in Sumeru understands art better than you? Anyway, I don't know about art, but I do know that I'm interested in business, and some patrons are waiting to be served. So, you'll have to excuse me for now. Just holler if you need anything.
What do you think, traveler? Exactly. So our thoughts on the meaning of art are rather similar. In Sumeru, and especially Sumeru of the past, the arts are not a popular discussion topic. Trying to talk about the arts is basically the key to killing any conversation. It's too bad that I'm not in my best form today. Otherwise, we could have talked about this for a little longer. Thanks for offering, but you've seen how he is. He's not going to listen to anything I say. He understands nothing about my design, and all the suggestions he made were as if he just wanted to mock me. Okay, it is possible that I was just jaded by my frustration. Well, given I'm already on my 6th draft, I can probably push myself to make a 7th. Let's go have another talk with him. I know where we'd be able to find the guy. There's no time to waste. The wine can wait until another time. I'll go take care of the bill.
Kaveh, what are you doing here?
I've changed my mind. I was overreacting earlier. Can we try discussing the project some more?
My apologies as well. Now that I think about it, some of my requests were indeed a bit unreasonable. If I choose you to create the design for my project, I should have a bit more faith in your vision.
Thank you for understanding. Mutual trust is the basis for good communication. Now that we've got that out of the way, I think we can have a more productive conversation. To be perfectly honest, your commission request has been the most peculiar one I've ever received. Even now, I still know nothing about the building's intended purpose. All I know is that you want to build something in the desert for public use. I am aware that overly specific requests will restrain the architect's artistic freedom. However, knowing nothing about the intended purpose of the building also means I have no idea if I'm on the right track. I've produced several draft proposals for you to choose from, and you've rejected every single one. If we don't get on the same page, it could be a decade before we can finally break ground on this project.
Yes, I've given this some thought already. I think we can go with the general direction of the latest proposal that you just showed me. It's just...
Just what?
Putting the building design aside, can we get some less expensive materials for the floor tiles? Yeah, I know someone in the business, and the red bricks he sells can go for pretty cheap. The timber here as well. We should be able to find some substitutes.
Please give me a moment. My head's starting to hurt again. Just please hold on for a second. So, let me get this straight. You want to reduce the cost of the project, right? But if we implement your suggestions, then I'm afraid we have to scrap the entire design. Architectural design cannot be neatly split into discrete parts. Any change to one part of the design will affect the quality of the whole thing. I decided to utilize high-end timber for this section because the weight-bearing structure requires the supporting materials to be durable and strong. Same with the tiles. Switch them out and the entire mural will have to be redesigned. More importantly, if we make such a change, both its practical functionality and aesthetic value will take a great hit. If all you need is a building with a roof that can keep people dry in the rain, you shouldn't have commissioned me. Many architects would be able to build you one of those while charging far less in commission fees.
Actually, Please tell me, are you absolutely sure that there's no room for any changes in this draft of the design?
I think the most important thing for me is to understand what you would actually like to get. If you could tell me more about your vision, I might be able to work with the design some more. You are the client, after all. You should have the final say on how the project turns out.
I want to build something unique. Something quiet and warm inside. A refuge that can block out the world outside. I want all who enter this building to be able to temporarily forget everything that's going on outside of the building and just focus on their task at hand.
That's a bit more information than last time, but it's still extremely vague. To put it another way, every rich person who wants to build a mansion for themselves would request something like this. We've gone through many proposals, and this draft is already the cheapest one. Cutting costs by substituting building materials will not only detract from the overall effect of the building, it also won't save you much more in the grand scheme of things.
Thank you for giving it so much thought. Please, give me some more time to mull over the budget. I'll get back to you once I've figured out a solution. I still have a few business meetings that I must attend, so I'm afraid I'll have to leave for now. You can just leave the proposal as is. I'll get in touch once I've given it some more thought.
also have a similar feeling. Is that He does seem really suspicious. That's actually the more Mora some people have, the more they'll... Actually, who knows how... Where did he go? I could have sworn he went this way. Let's keep looking. Oh, hey, look! Isn't that Badawi? It sure looks like him, but he's dressed completely different now. What is he up to?
Didn't I tell you before? I'm not looking for more workers. Plus, aren't you a bit old for physical labor? If something happens to you, I won't be able to pay for it.
Oh, you won't have to worry about that. I grew up as an Eremite mercenary and worked in the desert my entire life. My body's still in great shape. I don't have many talents, but I still have my muscle. If you need someone to unload goods or drive away sumpter beasts, I'm your man.
You used to be an Eremite mercenary?
I know there are a lot of bad apples in our ranks, but most are just trying to make a living. We're not that greedy by nature, and we'll do our best when given a job.
Let me think. I'm sorry, but I still can't take you in. I don't have any open positions right now, and don't have the Mora for anything more. How about this? Why don't you try your luck somewhere else?
Okay.
He used to be a member of the Eremites? Huh. From the way he was dressed, I would have thought he was a merchant from the rainforest. Let's ask him about it. We meet again.
Huh? Why are you guys here?
That's what we wanted to ask you. Who are you? Why did you dress up like a merchant to talk to me about our project? There's no need for us to continue this project if you still want to keep hiding things from us. I don't work with individuals I can't trust.
Believe me, I didn't have any bad intentions. It's just... All right, there's no point hiding anything anymore. The building I'm trying to commission you for is not really a personal residence for me, but rather a library for children living in the desert.
A library? Funded entirely by yourself? Shouldn't this be the responsibility of the academia? I've heard that the academia will be looking to prioritize the desert with the allocation of educational resources and materials. It sent over a large shipment of regular goods just last month.
You're right, and I was aware of these happenings as well. I just figured what I want to do is a separate effort from what's already being done by the academia. The desert is too vast. Even if the academia spends a lot of effort trying to disseminate knowledge in those parts, it might still take decades, if not centuries, to reduce the educational gap that already exists between the two regions. And what's more, I don't know if the academia would ever reverse its stance in the future. All I know is that as a desert dweller, we should not wait passively for good things to happen to us. If we only did that, we'd never be able to stand up and hold our heads high. I don't have much longer left on this world, so I just want to use whatever time I have to contribute something to my homeland. I didn't want you to know that I came from the desert. I've lived in the desert my entire life, and there wasn't anyone here that I could trust. I figured I needed as much safety as I could get.
To the point that you even disguised your identity? That's certainly taking playing it safe to the next level. Hold on. Don't tell me you've also been scammed before.
When I first came to Sumeru City, I brought a lot of Mora, hoping to find an architect that I could work with. Someone agreed to take on the project, and even took a sum of Mora from me, but then disappeared without a trace. After that, I heard that there are a lot of untrustworthy people in this business. Some would run as soon as they've been paid, while others would deliberately use expensive materials and take a cut of the construction funding. I spent a while collecting information in the city, and eventually learned that you're the most famous architect in all of Sumeru. I figured that you wouldn't need to make Mora by scamming people, so I decided to reach out to you. By the way, how did you know I was scammed? I don't think I've ever mentioned that to anybody.
Just a hunch. A while ago, I accepted an offer to work on a project in the desert, and was also scammed out of a large sum of Mora. I ran into someone who was living in a pretty run-down house. I noticed a load-bearing wall on the verge of collapse, and suggested that I build a new house for him. He said that he had no way to pay for it, so I loaned him some of my own Mora, and told him to get some stone and timber from the local vendors. Soon after that, I found out that he had gone gambling with all the money, and lost everything, down to the last coin. And after that, he even borrowed Mora from me twice more, using a different excuse each time. I didn't even suspect him of any wrongdoing until he hired a group of mercenaries and tried to ambush me in his own house. According to him, I looked like an easy target because I was an academia scholar who didn't have any family or friends in the desert. What kind of person would just look at someone else and think, this guy looks like an easy target?
Those kinds of things do happen every once in a while, yes. Folks like him are the exact reason why us desert dwellers' reputation has gone down the drain. I must apologize to you on their behalf.
It's all right. You were also scammed by someone from Kasharwar after all. I should apologize to you on their behalf. Ultimately, neither of our experiences had anything to do with the desert or the rainforest. People who are new to an area are always easy targets for criminals. Yeah, you'll find both good and bad people everywhere. I can't understand the logic of those who like to take advantage of others, but I have to accept their existence as a fact of life. Anyway, I digress. Let's return to the topic at hand. Did you keep rejecting my designs because you thought I was deliberately using expensive materials to take a cut as a middleman?
That's what I was afraid of initially, yes. I eventually understood that you weren't out to cheat me. But unfortunately, I still don't have nearly enough Mora to pay for the design you proposed. I've done the math and know that we should be able to make it if we cut some corners. However, after our conversations, I can see that you're passionate about your design, and I'm quite fond of the proposal as well. So, I decided to try and see if I can afford your proposal as is. I've been looking for work every day, and in another month, I should be able to cobble together enough Mora to meet the budget.
By cobble together, you mean you're going to spend your entire life savings on this project? But then, what will you do if something unexpected comes up, and you find yourself stuck with no emergency fund?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about that. I mean, when you've lived to be my age and something happens, you can't really call it unexpected anymore. All I want is to build this library before I leave this world, so that the children of the future would have some books to read, and the desert dwellers would be able to learn their letters and pick up some practical knowledge. A while ago, I heard that the academia had decided to recruit a number of exceptional children from the desert. Of course, this is welcomed news. But as someone who spent their entire life in the desert, I still have a few concerns. I know the desert life and can predict what the problems will be. Many children from the desert have had neither the interest nor the proper environment to learn. So even if the academia would take them in, once they enter the halls, they might find themselves surrounded by other children who look and act very differently from them. And as a result, they might become socially isolated.
Yes, I can imagine that. My father passed away at an early age. Even though I had a good number of friends during my years at the academia, for some time I still sensed many critical looks in my direction. I'm sure a child coming all the way from the desert will have an even harder time. But let's bring this back to the building itself. I think you said that you want this building to be quiet and warm, with its doors serving as a solid barrier to block out the sound and fury outside, and allow one to focus on the book in their hands. Building it according to the current plan will be quite costly. Even if I don't charge you any commission fees, I don't think we'd be able to keep it under your budget. Any ideas on what we can do? Sponsor the project? You mean convince wealthy merchants to join our cause and pool their money together to build the library? That does make sense. The library is a big project, and it's going to be hard to fund it with just a single person's Mora. What do you think? If we can find others to sponsor the project, we could potentially increase the size of the building 2- or 3-fold.
It's all fine with me, but where do you think we'll be able to find these sponsors?
Well, you're right. If I really think about it, I'm not too familiar with many big-name merchants. Her? Hard. Now there's an idea. She probably won't say no if all she'll need to do is to make some introductions instead of spending Mora. Let's go and pay her a visit.
Now here are some unexpected guests. What brings you to the Palace of cσρчяιgντ? When I saw Kaveh, I almost thought it must be that time of month again. Sadly for me, I must wait a few more days before I can collect my shiny Mora.
Hey, can't you think of something else for a change? You are literally living in an objet d'art, and yet your mind is still fixated on nothing but Mora? What is the point of wealth, anyway? Is your happiness entirely dependent on your hoard of cold, emotionless Mora?
That's exactly right. Mora is extremely valuable, you see. If you don't keep your mind on it, your Mora may just find its way to somebody else's pockets. If you ask me, this place is still way too empty. Just give me some time and I'll fill it to the brim with lots and lots of Mora.
You're hopeless.
Oh, so you have an actual reason to visit me? Alright, merchants. My, is there some kind of business opportunity? Oh, I see. So you're just looking for someone to help you fit the bill.
I knew you wouldn't be interested in something like this. Still, you wouldn't refuse just making some introductions for us, would you?
Sure, I can connect you with some folks, but with every service comes a fee, you know.
A fee? You mean just for introductions?
Of course! Making introductions means using my connections and putting my reputation on the line. Why wouldn't I charge a fee for something so important? And since we've known each other for so long, though, I'll give you a huge returning customer discount. How about 500,000 mora?
500,000? I guess that's okay. But why are you charging a fee before we've even secured any funding? That just doesn't seem right. Besides, by helping us out, you'd be doing a great service to the public. Can't you take your mind off your mora even for just 1 second and focus on something far more important?
Very well. Since you're so passionate about this project, I'll help you out and waive the introduction fees. 3 of my business partners came by earlier today to discuss some things with me, and they still haven't left yet. I'll arrange a meeting for you, and just so we're clear, it'll be up to you to present your project and discuss any deals.
Thank you so much.
You can wait here. I'll bring them over to you.
Dory gave us a brief introduction about the two of you. You are Kaveh, the renowned architect, and you are the traveler. Practically all of Teyvat has heard of you by now. To be frank, I don't feel like there's an obvious business opportunity here. But since Dory took the time to introduce you, we can spend some time to have a conversation. So, let's hear your idea.
All right, here's the situation. I've been commissioned to build a library in the desert, with the intended goal of allowing the desert dwellers to have more access to reading materials.
So it's a public welfare project.
Correct.
Then the commission fees will likely be very low. You should be careful.
I'm not too concerned about how much I'll get for the commission fees, actually. I'm fine with doing it for free. I just want to get this project rolling as soon as possible. We're just a little short on funding.
So what? You can't possibly expect that we just cover the shortfall for you. Besides, what does a library in the desert have to do with us? If you want to build it yourself with your own mora. Seems simple enough to me.
Hey, there's no need to be so harsh. They are Dory's associates after all. Here, can you tell us a bit more about what we can gain from sponsoring this project? So we'd mostly be doing it for reputation and exposure? There is some value to that.
Well, just speaking for myself, I've got nothing in the desert.
I also have a concern. It feels like there's not much to profit from in the short term. But in the long term, the reputation gain also doesn't sound like it'd offset the cost of the sponsorship.
Then how about this? What if, instead of building a single library, we commit to an entire complex of buildings dedicated to culture and education?
Wouldn't that just cost more?
Yes, but in that case... Mr. Kaveh, please tell us what you have in mind.
I'll just give an example. If we were to build a library and a school near Aru village, then the desert dwellers would gradually begin to migrate towards the area. A whole suite of buildings will be able to host more traffic, and thus drive the economic development of the entire area. In turn, that would lead to direct business opportunities. I've been to the desert several times. Although there are still many lingering tensions between the two regions, the amount of interaction has been steadily increasing, and in the long term, the desert will only become more and more important to Sumeru.
You do have a point.
Education in the desert is indeed an industry that has not been tapped into. If we can be the first to place stakes in the area.
And you just believe anything he tells you?
Even the greenest amateurs know that urban planning will affect population flow. If you don't believe me, you can ask anyone on the street to confirm it to you.
You...
Hey, why are you starting to sound like I'll hate them?
Wait, something just occurred to me. If we're going to build a library in the desert, Aru Village would obviously be the best place for it. But it seems we're not the only ones with our eyes on the village. I heard a rumor a while back saying a lot of land and buildings in Aru Village have already been secretly purchased by a big-name merchant.
What?
What?
In other words, if we try to join the fray now, there won't be much left for us. If we want to build a suite of buildings focused on education and culture, Aru Village is the prime location. If we want to build it anywhere else, we'll have to deal with a far larger list of problems. It's not impossible, I suppose, but...
Then there's no hurry. We can wait for Aru Village to develop more first and get into the market for expansion to other areas.
But if you were to do that...
Is there nothing else to discuss? Great timing! I pretty much heard all I want to hear. If there are no other urgent matters, I'll be on my way.
I'll be off as well. If you have any new ideas, please feel free to reach out.
It seems like the others are not interested in funding this, so no point in me doing this on my own. Let's revisit this another time.
Hey, guys, wait! Well, what can I say? I guess it went somewhat as expected. Yeah, it's just another day doing business with people. But I can never get used to that. Those people never think of anyone other than themselves. Looks like we'll have to figure out some other way to get the funding. Let's go.
How did the meeting go? Want to talk about it? Oh, where did all that passion go from earlier, I take it you weren't able to find a sponsor for your project?
Please don't tell me that you're here to mock us.
What kind of person do you take me for? Would the kind and generous Lord Sakuma Bay really do such a thing? I will say, though, I more or less expected this outcome even before I introduced them to you. You can try to talk up the project all you want, but the facts will remain the same. This project is high investment with slow returns. No sane person would put their money into this.
But this isn't just a business project, right? Also, if you already knew no one would want to partner with us, why did you still try to charge me 500,000 mora? You scammer!
You might want to remember who your creditor is before you start talking like that, Kaveh.
I'll pay back every last coin that I still owe you, but that's a completely different matter.
Alright, since you're so devastated about this, I'll set you up for dinner with another big-name merchant. In fact, I'll be inviting the most famous merchant in all of Sumeru, so I'll be counting on your performance.
What? Really? I would like to sincerely apologize for my attitude just now. So, where would we be meeting this merchant?
Follow me. Oh, I suppose both of you can come.
you said you're going to introduce us to the most famous merchant in Sumeru. Well, where are they?
You still don't get it, huh? The most famous merchant in Sumeru?
Huh? So you met yourself all along? Then why did you bring us here?
Well, I've given it some thought, and that complex of education and culture buildings that you mentioned does hold some promise. It'll be a pretty big Mora sink, and I'll have to fund it all on my own, but that's not really a problem for me.
Seriously? Where's this generosity coming from so suddenly? Are you trying to scam me again?
The reasons are not important. What's important is that I'm willing to help you. However, you know just as well as me that once this project actually breaks ground, it'll start sucking Mora from my pockets like crazy. So, to cut costs...
I get it, I get it. I won't charge any commission fees, and I'll take responsibility for the entire project.
Splendid! Then let's sign the contract right away.
This way, the children of the desert will have some books to read. Their lives should improve a bit after this. Of course, there are a few things better than using my knowledge to help other people change their fates. I must thank you as well, Dory. I used to say you only cared about Mora, which might have been some prejudice on my part. Sorry for that. I will also try to pay back my debts as soon as possible. Now, let's have a quick discussion. Where would you want the library to be built? That will be the most important building.
There's no rush. I'll provide you with a copy of the deed when we get back. You can just use the address on the document to find the lot.
Huh? The deed? So hold on a sec. The person who has been buying up everything around Aru Village was you all along?
Oh my, did I not tell you about that? Yep, yours truly has been buying up all the land. I must thank you for bringing your ideas to me. Before our conversation, I had no idea what to build on all those lots. So, from my perspective, this has been a great turn of events. I didn't put much in and easily got a lot in return.
But what about my commission fees?
Huh? Didn't you waive those yourself? I was just gonna say that to cut costs. We mustn't procrastinate and should start construction as soon as possible. But before I could finish my sentence, you volunteered to waive your commission fees and even promised to take responsibility for the whole project from start to finish. I am so touched, really.
It's obvious that you used every trick in the book to deceive me. You deliberately paused for a long time while talking about the project and kept glancing at me with that menacing look in your eyes.
Huh? You really think so? Well, the contract's already been signed, so there's no point in dwelling on the details. You know what? I'll pay for tonight's dinner.
Fine, I'll drop the argument on the commission fees. But since you said you're paying for dinner, I'm going to order the best dishes and booze this place has to offer, and lots of it. Tonight, we're feasting until I've recouped my full commission fees. again.
Huh? Why are you guys here?
That's what we wanted to ask you. Who are you? Why did you dress up like a merchant to talk to me about our project? There's no need for us to continue this project if you still want to keep hiding things from us. I don't work with individuals I can't trust.
Believe me, I didn't have any bad intentions. It's just... All right, there's no point hiding anything anymore. The building I'm trying to commission you for is not really a personal residence for me, but rather a library for children living in the desert.
A library? Funded entirely by yourself? Shouldn't this be the responsibility of the academia? I've heard that the academia will be looking to prioritize the desert with the allocation of educational resources and materials. It sent over a large shipment of regular goods just last month.
You're right, and I was aware of these happenings as well. I just figured what I want to do is a separate effort from what's already being done by the academia. The desert is too vast. Even if the academia spends a lot of effort trying to disseminate knowledge in those parts, it might still take decades, if not centuries, to reduce the educational gap that already exists between the two regions. And what's more, I don't know if the academia would ever reverse its stance in the future. All I know is that as a desert dweller, we should not wait passively for good things to happen to us. If we only did that, we'd never be able to stand up and hold our heads high. I don't have much longer left on this world, so I just want to use whatever time I have to contribute something to my homeland. I didn't want you to know that I came from the desert. I've lived in the desert my entire life, and there wasn't anyone here that I could trust. I figured I needed as much safety as I could get.
To the point that you even disguised your identity? That's certainly taking playing it safe to the next level. Hold on. Don't tell me you've also been scammed before.
When I first came to Sumeru City, I brought a lot of Mora, hoping to find an architect that I could work with. Someone agreed to take on the project, and even took a sum of Mora from me, but then disappeared without a trace. After that, I heard that there are a lot of untrustworthy people in this business. Some would run as soon as they've been paid, while others would deliberately use expensive materials and take a cut of the construction funding. I spent a while collecting information in the city, and eventually learned that you're the most famous architect in all of Sumeru. I figured that you wouldn't need to make Mora by scamming people, so I decided to reach out to you. By the way, how did you know I was scammed? I don't think I've ever mentioned that to anybody.
Just a hunch. A while ago, I accepted an offer to work on a project in the desert, and was also scammed out of a large sum of Mora. I ran into someone who was living in a pretty run-down house. I noticed a load-bearing wall on the verge of collapse, and suggested that I build a new house for him. He said that he had no way to pay for it, so I loaned him some of my own Mora, and told him to get some stone and timber from the local vendors. Soon after that, I found out that he had gone gambling with all the money, and lost everything, down to the last coin. And after that, he even borrowed Mora from me twice more, using a different excuse each time. I didn't even suspect him of any wrongdoing until he hired a group of mercenaries and tried to ambush me in his own house. According to him, I looked like an easy target because I was an academia scholar who didn't have any family or friends in the desert. What kind of person would just look at someone else and think, this guy looks like an easy target?
Those kinds of things do happen every once in a while, yes. Folks like him are the exact reason why us desert dwellers' reputation has gone down the drain. I must apologize to you on their behalf.
It's all right. You were also scammed by someone from Kasharwar after all. I should apologize to you on their behalf. Ultimately, neither of our experiences had anything to do with the desert or the rainforest. People who are new to an area are always easy targets for criminals. Yeah, you'll find both good and bad people everywhere. I can't understand the logic of those who like to take advantage of others, but I have to accept their existence as a fact of life. Anyway, I digress. Let's return to the topic at hand. Did you keep rejecting my designs because you thought I was deliberately using expensive materials to take a cut as a middleman?
That's what I was afraid of initially, yes. I eventually understood that you weren't out to cheat me. But unfortunately, I still don't have nearly enough mora to pay for the design you proposed. I've done the math and know that we should be able to make it if we cut some corners. However, after our conversations, I can see that you're passionate about your design, and I'm quite fond of the proposal as well. So, I decided to try and see if I can afford your proposal as is. I've been looking for work every day, and in another month, I should be able to cobble together enough mora to meet the budget.
By cobble together, you mean you're going to spend your entire life savings on this project? But then, what will you do if something unexpected comes up, and you find yourself stuck with no emergency fund?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about that. I mean, when you've lived to be my age and something happens, you can't really call it unexpected anymore. All I want is to build this library before I leave this world, so that the children of the future would have some books to read, and the desert dwellers would be able to learn their letters and pick up some practical knowledge. A while ago, I heard that the academia had decided to recruit a number of exceptional children from the desert. Of course, this is welcomed news. But as someone who's spent their entire life in the desert, I still have a few concerns. I know the desert life and can predict what the problems will be. Many children from the desert have had neither the interest nor the proper environment to learn. So even if the academia would take them in, once they enter the halls, they might find themselves surrounded by other children who look and act very differently from them. And as a result, they might become socially isolated.
Yes, I can imagine that. My father passed away at an early age. Even though I had a good number of friends during my years at the academia, for some time, I still sensed many critical looks in my direction. I'm sure a child coming all the way from the desert will have an even harder time. But let's bring this back to the building itself. I think you said that you want this building to be quiet and warm, with its doors serving as a solid barrier to block out the sound and fury outside, and allow one to focus on the book in their hands. Building it according to the current plan will be quite costly. Even if I don't charge you any commission fees, I don't think we'd be able to keep it under your budget. Any ideas on what we can do? Slightly different style. Give me a minute. Most architects would probably prioritize cutting costs and removing extra features in this situation. Indeed, converting the build, while it's true that the aesthetic value to completely give up on them. However, if we can reduce to make up for the loss of regular details, we would need to put a lot of extra effort.
I see.
It just increases the diff as for inspiration.
Aru...
Okay, then
Is there something I...
let me think. We want to keep the roads.
All right, just leave.
What are you waiting for? Most materials going from Carib. There are a lot of monsters out.
Oh, don't worry. I'm fine. But it's one thing I didn't think much of it back. Few mercenaries.
Is there someone you know who can...
Sometimes I joined the air, if at all possible.
I think it's... Maybe he's doing this out of natural kindness. Kindness that hasn't been eroded away by the struggles of his life. Perhaps. Some people call me, but my situation when I was young, he set off. I never saw. I started doing many things in life. At this point, I've tried. Maybe it's. I could be doing. Anyway, I've known all. He told me. I still believe. Unfortunate, as you can see, and when I. Either way, all right. Here, it's my part.
Oh,
My toolbox. I'll take Marak.
Traveler?
Ah,
Hello.
education. I've been commissioned.
A line?
that's right.
That's fantastic.
Let me get straight. Oh, and... All right, Badawi. The parts of the... I want to make... Our final... Marak has produced a sketch for all of you. The inspiration... I must give you... According to the... In the meantime... mission was truly the worst decision ever. Actually, while we're on that, what are you doing here? Stress is just an inescapable part of being a working adult. Boss, do you want something too? I'll put it on my tab.
Wine in a
I know you're already keeping a secret. God. Another glass.
You've got it.
It really is. But perhaps getting. I would spend a. I suppose all of this.
Here's your drink.
Boss.
The meaning of. Anyway, I don't.
What do you? Yes. Art. Let's say that the problem. Sounds. Huh? I mean, my mother is also an architect. Perhaps, unfortunately, I did remember at the time I hadn't quite. It's been a really long time. Either way, if you want to stick around and see how this will. All right. Let me. Anyway. Alhaitham isn't in, so feel free to sit wherever. I'll bring out the box. Oh, nothing. I just didn't realize how much time had passed. I'm happy for her. Anyway, enough about that. Let's see what I packed into this box. What are all these things? Oh, obviously I would... Now that I've said that out loud, I suppose I do have some level of artistic talent, right? Criticism and I admit that I... I was super... Unfortunate. It was only a few days later that he finally... My mother took... She didn't scold... Let's see. Is there anything else left in this box? Huh. What was this again? This is... When I was a child... Wonder why... If only I could. Hey, it's not a matter of time, it's a matter of inspiration. That's what we need to guess the past. Who knows? Maybe this time something will click in my head, and the answer will just present itself. Let me think. What could it be? I could tell what you were thinking. I've even tried... I wouldn't try that... Everyone's life journey... I just got... What do you think? I'm glad you agree. Then let's start by taking a quick stroll around the academia. the places in the academia, I remember this. I created many designs that the academia. Oh, here, this is a great example. This book, History of Ancient Sumeru Architecture, contains some analysis that I did many years ago. Huh? Why is Alhatham's handwriting also in here? When did he ever read this book? I guess it's probably from when we worked on that research project together. Anyway, he probably never cared to tell you this, but the House of Dana is where Alhatham and I first met. I came here to do my homework, and saw him sitting by himself next to that row of bookshelves. A group of Haravatat scholars were chatting near him, but he looked as if he was too lazy to join them. There was a pretty stark difference between him and all the rest of them. It was my fault for feeling bad for him. I thought he must have gotten into some kind of trouble and went over to ask if he needed anything, not realizing that...
Not realizing that you were in fact the one in a whole heap of trouble?
Alhatham? Why are you here?
The House of Dana is a public space.
But shouldn't you...
You think I would I came here to pick up a few
All right. I admit I was probably overreacting just now.
There was nothing embarrassing. When I was still a student we had a number of... The more important question is... I see. Oh, and Kaveh.
Huh?
Sure, if that will give you some self-confidence. Leave any words of thanks you as a result.
What? Okay, just you wait. I'm going to fix this right now. I'll dig all the books out and return them to the proper shelves.
Oh, anyway, you were about to say he's feeling a bit down? Put through the ringer. What an interesting phrase. I assume he used those exact words. He probably did suffer quite a bit, that's true. He always spends a lot of time editing his proposals, with the goal of satisfying as many of the client's preferences, but the satisfaction of one client will not translate to general satisfaction with his work. Many problems in life can only be solved by a fundamental change of... There are plenty of architects in Sumeru who are inferior to him in skill. Clearly, Of course, each person is different, and we should respect the path. Admonitions will serve no purpose. People tend to succumb to familiar...
Looks like you were having an enjoyable chat while I was gone.
What do you think?
Anyway, you should take a look at this. Look at this comment on page... See that?
And it looks like you're all...
Me?
Why don't you just move all the books yourself? Kaveh had a habit of scribbling and writing in all...
Hey! Oh, actually, I also found a really old sketch in one of the books over there. See? Doesn't it remind you of something? Huh? You... In that case, allow me to explain. Although this sketch is a little abstract, you can plainly see...
We can also...
If I don't, there shouldn't be...
There are...
See? Come on, let's take a stroll through...
No need.
So... Port Ormos. No, I didn't design any one specific building. Port Ormos had the arch bridge over there, for example. When I was we ran into a residence I was still young. The true once built. You think so? My budget was us creative types know better than yeah. We've spent long enough here. Great. This is a rare opportunity. If you ever feel down. Who would have thought that so many primal constructs we won't be able to sit. Isn't this place great? I often come here to clear my mind. You know what I mean. Just take me as an although I'll hate them, you could probably say. Life is too boring when you live. Of course, I will concede that loving something also means taking it to heart. So to an extent, but still, with different land, the site here has moved. My pain will. They are far more. If you were to ask me what art is, you think so? Remember that question I brought up before? The one about whether I should see art as a divine gift of inspiration from the gods, or as a I still. Those who pursue art, I'll try gathering my. In any case, thank you so much for listening to everything. Mission was truly the worst decision ever. Oh, hey. I wasn't expecting to run into you here. Actually, while we're on that, what are you doing here at the tavern? Don't listen to anyone who says that drinking... stress is just an inescapable part of being a working adult. Boss, I'll have a glass of wine. Same as last time. Do you want something too? I'll put it on my tab.
Wine in a glass of juice coming right.
I know you're already keeping a secret from me, but if you could add this one to the list as... That guy, though. What was he even going on about? All those ridiculous demands of his? Another glass, please, boss.
You've got it, sir. I gotta...
It really is every other day that you'd run into a client who knows nothing about construction requirements or architectural style. If this was in the past, I'd never have gone through 6 whole drafts. But perhaps getting used to this just means that I've grown... I would spend a lot of time altering my designs. And by the time the clients were finally satisfied, all my passion and enthusiasm would be gone. It feels like I'm straying further and further from my artistic vision with every change I have to make. I suppose, though, that just sticking to your guns and completely disregarding all of this makes for a real paradox. One that particularly crops up...
Here's your drink. How are you already spouting nonsense after just one glass?
Your boss? What do you think is the meaning of art?
The meaning of art? Anyway, I don't know about art, but I do know that I'm in...
What do you think? No worries. It was just an off... It's been bothering me for a while. Even when I'm awake. Sounds great. A different career. I see. That's not a bad idea. I think I've heard a saying somewhere before. 80% of a working adult's woes are due to not having enough mora in the bank. It's just a saying, of course, but... And if I want to make mora, I should finish that ridiculous commission. But I really can't find it in me to go back and talk to him right now. Hold on. I just remembered that I used to have a senior classmate by the name of Alkami. Maybe I'll be...
Kaveh, it's you!
Yeah, it's been a long time, Alkami.
I heard that you were the genius behind the...
Well, it's...
hard to make a profit. Unless... I understand. I mean, I obviously never had your... Judging from the look on your face... With that said, us cσrчяigντ...
Are you serious? Besides, I don't want to just take something like that without offering it.
Compared to the classes taught by those... Unlike the academia, it just so regardless of the...
So what do you think, Traveler?
Then it's a deal?
Yes, it's a deal. Thank...
As for the pay...
300,000?
300,000. I have to go make some...
I was never I've hosted free lectures before, but this... Thanks so much. Now, what... All right.
expect you two to get here so early.
I was up last night preparing for the lecture, but I ended up getting so excited that I couldn't fall asleep. Here, I've prepared a lesson plan. Do you want to take a look?
Lesson plan. Ah, I must commend you for your... But the training center has already... Sure. It's almost time for...
Huh. So, there's something else.
Ah, no need to... There are 420 people. Oh, and I'm sorry to say this, but you're...
Hey there. Can I help you? Oh, well, I heard
Did you hear? Oh,
And it
really makes you
That's true. For those who can't pass...
Man,
All right, every class is over.
No, you weren't scared.
Oh, Alkami may fool an amateur, but in my opinion, there are tens of the architects who can. All these students are. How can they expect to?
But Mr. What's the big deal anyway?
You're studying.
Yeah, my biggest dream.
He also said that it won't be long.
Come on.
But
You. Let's go, traveler.
What's wrong, Kaveh? Were the students...
Yeah, I'm Matt. The students are all here. If your client is, you know all of this.
You may deny it all. Our client... Why should we, if it's near
Wait, how does that?
We are already stuck. That's right. None of the students... The more students are...
And then what? When that happens?
Ah, but that's just... Oh, and also, I'm not even scared.
You. I can't believe that I once saw.
And that saying goes, only fool. I urge you to... As the light of the... Think it over, Kaveh.
I'm so mad. I feel a headache coming on. There's nothing more I can say. Of course. He is right about one thing, though. The most that they could accuse him of is false Oh? Did you notice something else? Yeah, the rate he gave... If you're gambling everything on making it right, we're never going to get...
oh, Mr. Kaveh,
Class finished a...
I want
Of course they were. It's a good thing that...
res.
Yes. And for most people, going from
Just as I thought.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Don't listen to him. Why would I put...
Mr. Alkami, he told...
How much... And what was the... Yeah. We need to find that merchant to Good idea.
We last saw him...
Well, it's still... We need to do something.
don't think I've ever seen you.
You're Fahar.
Yes.
Alkami. My friend here wants to enroll in his architecture class, but they're a bit short on money. Alkami told us you're the man to go to in this kind of situation.
Oh, sounds like his business is booming.
Let me see. I'd say around...
Oof. You call that a bit short on here you go.
And what if they won't?
What do you mean? And even if you were, it's hard work. Anyway, there's...
I just did some Of course, If you actually do the math, however, it's clear that the amount you need to pay on interest alone... Even my creditor doesn't...
What are you trying to say, huh? I figured something was off when two well-dressed people came looking for a loan. Think you get too many people are...
There are only a few of...
That's close enough. Feeling lucky today?
Come at me!
Take that! Tricks up your sleeve! You won this one.
I don't think we've done...
Debt has the power to... But my debts are... But these students... You sold the dreams...
Ha! And if we're going to talk about greed...
Ha! People grow... Sino?
My vacation I see. As it is highly like any funds we man...
That should still be... Anyway, thank...
It's no trouble. Just an up. Did you accept?
He promised...
I wouldn't have gone. Either way, though...
Hey, what?
Let's get back to...
Huh.
The reward will be... Is there anything else?
I want to go back...
Sure.
All right.
I have a few other...
To think, I'll come... Still... I think I feel... It's a little ironic. How should I put the argument? Alkami's suggestion would have allowed me... Every scholar... Just speaking... If I stopped at that point, any materialistic ease I may have gained in life would just become another form of torment. In comparison, my current life comes with its share of difficulties, but at least I'd never have to deal with that kind of existential reckoning. It's certainly not. My thanks again for being such a great help throughout... All right.
center has been shut. Mr. Kaveh said, ha! He's only the best of the best. Why? Huh?
Now, I'll keep instructing you for. Oh, also, architecture is not. If you want to design. And just as a heads up, all of this will be a huge step up from the super.
We'll try.
All right, everyone, pack your stuff up. You'll know once we get. This lighthouse has been around for a long time, and I handled its renovations when I first graduated. The point of today is not so much about the lighthouse as a building. I just want you to don't think about how you.
So, it can be.
Yep, as long as you think it'd look good. In my experience, both the study, so at least for today. What do you think? Alhaitham isn't in, so feel free to. Oh, nothing. I just didn't realize how much time had passed. The box is pretty dusty, which means it's already been a while since I've moved into this place. And many years since my mother moved to Fontaine. I'm happy for her. I hope she'll be able to find happiness there. She raised me all by herself after my father passed away. It definitely wasn't easy for her. Anyway, enough about that. Let's see what I packed into this box. What are all these things? Oh, I remember now. This is a drawing I made in Port Ormos. Obviously, I wouldn't call it anything special now, but I was less than 5 years old when I made this drawing. That's more than 20 years ago. You could say it's pretty good for a child of that age. Now that I've said that out loud, I suppose I do have some level of artistic talent, right? Criticism and self-doubt have always been a part of the artistic process. Without criticism, I admit that I... Anyway, my building... Oh, and this blueprint. I made it by copying my mother's sketch, and the aspect ratio was horrendous. It's still technically the first blueprint. I was super proud of myself when I finished it. Unfortunately, my mother... It was only a few days later that my mother took me with her. She didn't scold me about it. Let's see. Is there anything else left in this box? What was this again? This is my mother's notebook. She used to write and sketch in it all the time. When I was a child, I used to be super fascinated by this notebook, and always pestered my mother to let me read it. After asking her a few times, She told me that I could read it as long as I could guess the password. Huh. Wonder why If only I could. Hey, it's not a. Who knows? Maybe this time. I could tell what you were thinking. I've tried my name. I've even tried. I wouldn't try that route again. So we could find. My mother was never. Let me think. Is there still someone at the academia who would know my mother? Huh. You've never really heard of her? She's a famous cσrчяιgντ scholar and leading expert in formal garden design. My mother studied under her as a student many years ago. Professor Zaha Hadid published many works during her career, so I was able to learn a lot by studying her essays. If there's anyone who still remembers my mom, it'd be her. She's older now and is no longer teaching at the academia. But if I remember correctly, she spends most of her time around the Bimarstan area. Let's go take a look. We might run into her if we're lucky.
What am I supposed to do now? Forget it. I'll just head back.
Tighnari, what are you doing here?
Oh, it's you. Good to finally see you again. I came into the city to buy some experiment, but as soon as I got here, I noticed someone banging on Cyrus's door. I was thinking about...
Granny?
Yeah, she's...
I had a...
drinking and And you, traveler? You didn't try to stop him? You look like a wreck, Kaveh. What happened?
Huh?
All right, I'll be heading back.
Granny who lived...
Locked in there, huh? My tomato was growing so well. It had all the potential to become the best.
I already told you I had nothing to do with it. Why would I take a tomato that's still weeks from ripening? You'd have to be awfully green. You see, the word green here can refer to both the color of the tomato.
Enough nonsense. Just come out and face me, you coward.
You're out of your mind. If I've actually done something wrong...
Oh, why you?
Professor
And who are you? How long has... it's no big deal. Which brings us...
Hey, don't try...
Come on, let's go. We'll take our
yes, of course.
Is Faranak still doing well?
Yes, as far as I know. She left for Fontaine some time ago and started a new life for herself.
Ah, yes. I did hear about that. Did that upset you at all?
No, not at all.
That's good to... Sometimes she was still... She had to make a lot of... Even during... She had many... But every time...
I'm sure she had...
I'm not... I do She said, if you ask me...
So that's how it is. I wonder if the password could be... I tried both just now. Seems those aren't...
What are you trying...
My mother left her notebook to me, but it has a password and I haven't...
Your personalities are quite alike, too. You're both. I've taught a lot of students over my. They would know some clients would choose to respect the architect's vision or just let the argument go because of the architect's reputation. But those are the rare ones. When Farnak first graduated, she was getting into arguments with her clients nearly every single day. I think it only got a little better when she met your father.
I see.
No, I think they were probably beyond him, too. But Farnak had...
So instead of understanding, perhaps all we... Huh.
Oh!
Yeah!
Then you should be on being the awkward if you're ever...
Thank you so... I wonder what my mother...
They all say Zaha Hadid's class is the toughest, but I think it's actually not too bad. On the other hand, I met someone special. At first, I didn't think much of him. We decided to... The bad news came.
Huh? Is this a drawing? Seems like it was done by my mother. This blonde man was probably my father. But who are the other people in the picture? From the dates in the notebook, she probably drew this more than 30 years ago. I hadn't even been... Maybe we were thinking too much. Oh! There are a few lines written in the diary about this as well.
The one who invited the talkative woman. My husband seems... I don't think that man is... We were not acquainted. Maybe my son will also partake in these gatherings in the future.
Who would have thought my mother... There's more written...
Kaveh, you are very talented. No one will be able to help you during your journey as an artist. But outside of your... Whenever you feel down, seek out a...
So that's the answer she prepared for me. She really thought long... Well, now that I've read her words, the thought definitely crossed my mind. Although it'd be nice to get together with friends and chat the night away, I don't want to bring down other people's... Besides, and don't forget, wrong, but I keep feeling like I haven't really helped them much in return. Wait, do you mean it? You're not... I've gotten so used to... You know...
Hatham also got my invite, right? Will he be coming to join us?
That guy? He's never been a fan of social gatherings. I wouldn't get my hopes up if I were you.
Are you sure? All right then. I guess we won't wait for him.
Yeah, let's go. I mean... Maybe we should give him a little more time. We can keep chatting for a while longer. Oh. You still haven't...
We're celebrating the...
Then where's college?
She said she wanted... Anyway, the curriculum...
I
Yes. Anyway,
Never happened to me.
I'd just pull up.
you two are hopeless. Does anyone have a more useful answer to the question?
Ooh, that's a good.
It's very simple. Instead of focusing on the amount of material you would like to teach,
Wow, you actually showed up. I could probably.
it's still more than the number of times you've made it. That's your
So you're saying the only.
Precisely.
Hey, just to get.
What are you saying?
Then what about
There are only two.
you? I'm Traveler. You aren't associated with.
Well said.
Agreed.
Phase 2.
Hey,
Actually,
I'll make sure to write.
Is there another phase?
I'm telling you, that client.
Have you considered?
it's too late. Besides,
No.
Cheer up, Kaveh.
We'll save that.
I still have a lot to do with the guild. How about you take a rest while I go back?
energy drink. I'm sure it'll wake you up.
Better than nothing. Guess we can wrap.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's all part of the learning process.
I still have a lot to do with the guild. How about you take a rest while I go back? Guess we can rest a bit.
Something on your mind again? Let's work through it together. Two heads are better than one. Well, it's okay.
I still have a lot to do with the guild. How about you take a rest while I go back? Guess we can rest a bit.
If you're not sure what to do next, how about I take you on a walk?
You're in for a little shock.
as tall as my big sister.